guys, welcome to the intermediate advanced tutorial on the extended D major scale. If you would like to play along with the tutorial, you need obviously your instrument, yourself, and a metronome. So you can either use an external one, old school one like that, or if you prefer, you can use one on your smartphone or on your tablet or on your computer. My favorite one out of smartphone apps, the one that I'm using, is called Metro Timer. It looks like that. Has loads of cool features, but all you need is something to be able to do the click in time. So it doesn't matter what you use, just have something ready if you would like to play along. So a quick recap, if you haven't watched the beginners video and we would like to jump right in with this one, we are working on the D major extended range scale, and what that means is that we're playing all the notes that belong in a D major key, starting on an open G string and going all the way to the fourth finger on the E string. We're not gonna think about changing positions just yet. First, we want to really get fluent with that first position range of our instrument, which is already a lot of notes. So if you could get yourself to the level where you can play in any key and change between any key fluently in that first position, then it's going to be much easier to shift that into other positions also. So, a quick recap on what we were doing. This time we're going to put the metronome on. So I'm going to put my metronome at 80, that's 80 BPM, just to keep yourself in time. So all the notes, starting from open G, all the way to the fourth finger on E. Everything belonging in a D major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're with me with this one. So what you can do, you can try to play, these were crotchets, so these were aligning with our 80 BPM. You could change the note value to quavers, and then we're going to end up with something that's twice quicker. Let's show the notes, and then we would end up with this. With slurring and bowing patterns, you can try different versions. You can try with 4 notes on a slur, you can try with just 2, you can try with everything separately, and you can generally use that exercise, that scale exercise, to also try out and experiment with different bowing patterns. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do 4 notes on a slur. Another thing that we can do to make, if you get bored with just playing the scale from the lowest to the highest note like that, you could try to create the kind of scales within the scales. So you could play around with different modes, different modal sounds that you can get. So by picking a different starting note each time, so for example the first time we go from G to G and then go back, then we go from A to A and all the way back, then from B to B and so on. I'll demonstrate how does that sound like, and I'll keep on using quavers at the moment. All the way round, because the next one coming would be also starting from G. So you can do that with the entire range, going all the way to that B that you would play with your fourth finger on E string. And obviously once you feel comfortable with that speed, speed it up. Develop that fluency, develop that muscle memory with all the notes across your fingerboard in the first position. Another thing that you can do if you get bored with just playing these scaly patterns that way, you could try 4-note patterns. So an example of a 4-note pattern that also climbs up and down would be this. And what I did there is I was changing the note I was starting with one step up every time. So the first time you start from the open G, then the next pattern starts from the first finger A on the G string, next one on a B, second finger on the G string, and so on and so forth. So you always change your starting point to the next one up. And you can play around with that. You can make 5-note patterns, 6-note patterns, and so on, and just try to build that fluency. If you get bored with that, and you get bored with just playing notes in a row like this, you could also do a variation with playing in skips, playing in jumps, and the popular one with that is playing in thirds. So how would that sound like? That would go like this. Right? So again, a similar idea to that 4-note pattern. When I was building the next third, always a step higher, next step in a scale as it comes along. So the first third from G, then from A, then from B, and so on. And finally, obviously, feel free to build up the tempos, which each one of those, it can get really fun when you try to do these very fast. Another thing that can get you a little bit more into a little bit more improvisatory and adventurous mood is trying to play some notes from that bag of notes that we were talking about, that D major extended range. Play them at random. So what I mean by that is just pick a note that doesn't matter which one, and then pick another one, and then pick another one, and try to stay with your metronome, so stay in time. And it really doesn't matter what notes you pick. It's just try to randomize them as much as it's physically possible. Obviously, your ear will start hearing patterns in what you play, and that's absolutely fine. You can start creating little melodies and so on. But first of all, just aim at notes that are quite far away from each other and see what happens. So when we aim at crotchets, an example of that would be something like this. And so on, just random notes. And then another thing that's one of my favorite exercises that will build you up more towards improvising quicker lines is trying to play quavers. So the click is doing our crotchets. We're gonna try to divide each one into 2. And what I like to do is to set up a timer. So for example, I will set up a timer for myself for 5 minutes, and I will try to play running quavers without making any different rhythms, just quavers, and sticking to one key at the time. And see if you can create things that will not bore you. Basically, try to entertain yourself with all the different sounds that you can make on the different patterns that you can make within that bag of D major notes. So an example of that, just very quickly. Just a quick turnaround. And If you get bored with that, then you can try to do a limited amount of time switching between the D major scale and another scale. So for example, reverting back to C major that has no sharps and no flats. So going between all the notes are natural apart from F sharp and C sharp to all the notes are natural, full stop. So what you can do, you can start off by, for example, deciding that you're gonna do 4 bars of 4/4 in D major and then 4 bars of 4/4 in C major. Just to save time, I'm gonna demonstrate how would that sound like if we did 2 bars of each. So we're gonna do 2 bars of D major and then 2 bars of C major. 1, 2. Okay. Hope you find that helpful, and if you have any further questions about this type of scale practice, please feel free to comment or ask me directly. I'll do my best to respond to all your questions. Thank you.